Yeah. Okay, so we have also 33 people here, myself not included, and there are 26 people in this class. So I'm going to also see whether all of you, so this is going to take some time. Okay, I'm going to see who's been not coming to class, because in the previous classes we also had less than the number of students that are registered in this. Okay, so there is Muhammad Tariq finally. Hello, Assalamualaikum, Muhammad Tariq. How are you? Okay, it's not answering, but okay, at least it's here. Now I think we have one more student who did not, or maybe two more. Yeah, I need to know how many students that did not come, but I will take your attendance later personally, because I want to track down if there are people who have not been coming to class. Okay, so now we are going to study, okay, another topic in our class, which is on roles of institutions for sustainable development. Later on, okay, I'm happy to say, before I proceed any further, I'm happy to say that most of you have already registered for your groups, okay, and I can see that from the WhatsApp, our class WhatsApp, but I think there are three more people who have not done this, okay. So it's better that if you have not done this, if you are here, if anyone who has not done this is here, then it's better that that person, it's better for that person to sign up as soon as possible. Okay, so I'm trying to look at this. Okay. Sorry about this. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's go to the class lesson. There was some difficulties just now. Okay. Okay, now we are looking at today's lesson, which is on roles of institutions for sustainable development. Okay, now this roles of institutions is addressing two SDG, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions, as well as the 17th, the last one, partnership for the goals. Okay, and peace, justice, and strong institutions is to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, to provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Okay, and the next one, which is SDG 17, strengthen the means of implementation and implementation, revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Okay, so then you have a presentation of the strategy.
You're not presenting.
Okay. Okay. Any interruption just now? We had interruptions. Anyone? Oh, we cannot.
Madam, I cannot see the slide.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, sorry. What now? Okay. Can you see it now? Yeah?
Yes, madam.
You can see it right now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Okay. So let's have a look at this. The access, this is, as I've said earlier, it's the week 6 topic, which is roles of institutions for sustainable development. okay, to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions for all at all events. Okay, and that it also addresses the 17th goal, the last goal, strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Okay, so these are the two goals that it tries to address, and we try to address this week. Okay, so now, um, so the structure of this presentation today is to assess the significant roles of different national and local institutions and groups in order to achieve global sustainable development and their major policies and coping strategies. So we look at the national and local institutions and groups. And we start off with the roles of global and national institutions in achieving SDG. So we start off with the global first. Okay, global institutions, UN, for example, like UN, and national institutions. And I'm taking, for example, the Malaysia, what Malaysia has done and is planning to do to achieve SDG goals. Okay, so if you are from a different country, maybe your country has a different national, your country will have a different national institutions or many different national institutions that will try to achieve SDG goals, because this is mandatory, this is compulsory actually for everyone, every country that had signed the UN conventions, so everyone, every country should have their own national institutions that will work to achieve SDG goals. So now we have roles of local institutions. I think these local institutions and individuals will come later in the next week. So this slide is meant to cover 2 weeks. This week for global and national institutions, but next week for local and individual institutions. Okay. So now roles of institutions in achieving SDG. So okay, sorry about this. Let's say this. Yeah. So partnership and goals. What is SDG 17, the last SDG? UIA is planning to add one more SDG, which is on spirituality. Okay, but it's not. It's still in the process. Okay, so it has not added yet. So, but we have the last SDG. Partnership and goals refer to the need for cross-sector and cross-country collaboration in pursuit of all the goals by the year 2030. It is a call for countries to align policies. Okay, so it is meant to what do you call that, to make countries work together, okay, to achieve the goals by 2030. It is about strengthening and streamlining cooperation between nation states, both developed and developing, using the SDGs as a shared framework and a shared vision for defining that collaborative way forward. Okay, so basically it's the same as what I have said before, but with the emphasis on developed and developing. Okay, so even though our world today is comprised of developed countries like United States, United Kingdom, and European countries, and so on, these countries are supposed to work with our countries, developing countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and many other countries around the world. Okay, so there are more developing countries than developed countries, right? So, but even though there is a huge disparity between the two countries who are supposed to work together to achieve goals for the SDG. Okay. So global initiatives, UN Sustainable Development Group, UN SDG, serves as a high-level forum for joint policy formulation and decision-making. It guides, supports, tracks, and oversees the coordination of development operations in 162 countries and territories. So UN has established its own sustainable development group that oversee the policy formation, how the countries in the world formulate policies and decide on achieving SDG, how they work to achieve these goals. And UN Sustainable Development Group, UN SDG, agencies, funds, and programs working on development work to support countries and territories to achieve the 2030 agenda. Okay, so 5 UN Development Cooperation Office, 5 Development Cooperation Office regional directors and their teams in Panama, Addis Ababa, Amman, Istanbul, and Bangkok provide the UN resident coordinators in country with regional specific support, with a secretariat role for the regional UN Sustainable Development Group. So you can see all the countries here: Panama, Addis Ababa. This is not countries. This is what do you call that? Cities. Cities provide regional directors that will coordinate, and they have officers that will coordinate the countries that cover specific regions in the world. Okay. For Malaysia, it's in Bangkok. The UN SDG office is in Bangkok. So here we have some UN entities. Okay. UN other bodies that work to help the countries achieve the sustainable development goals. Okay, so you can see some other UNHCR. This is currently in Kuala Lumpur. You can see a lot of UNHCR people. So you can see this, global entities, UN entities working in many of the Asian countries also. So the importance of mechanism to ensure integration and policy coherence. The 2030 agenda delineates a holistic perspective for sustainable development. This is the time frame that you want to achieve, right? This is the deadline for achieving SDG goals. So environmental conservation and protection, economic growth and development, and social protection are interrelated and universal challenges that call for integrated and innovative approaches. Solid collaboration and coordination across sectors and institutions are therefore needed to ensure that the main pillars of sustainable development and cross-cutting issues like gender, health, and climate change, for instance, are mainstreamed into national development programs and policies. Okay, so the environmental conservation and protection, economic growth, these are the things that we had talked about, right? Earlier I said that in order to become sustainable, we have to take care of the environment, the economy, and the social aspect of humanity, right? So society, economy, and environment are very important, okay? And they are interrelated. And universal challenges that call for integration and innovative approaches. So we have to take care of every single aspect, like the environment, not just look at the economic and social growth. We have to take care of the environment as well. And if we take care of the environment, we have to take care of the economic and social growth as well. So all three things are very important. If one thing is neglected, for example, the environment, it will result in pollution. Even though people are rich, even though they achieve balance between women and men, for example, they're treated equally in society, and disabled and able people are treated equally in society. If the environment is polluted, then we have not achieved sustainability. Okay, so all things must be taken care of. So solid collaboration and coordination across sectors and institutions are therefore needed to ensure that the main pillars of sustainable development and cross-cutting issues like gender, health, and climate change, for example, are mainstream. Okay, so we need to be collaborating. Okay, the bodies inside UN also, the one that we had seen just now, need to collaborate with national institutions, okay, and sectors, and so on. Yeah, we need to collaborate. Everyone needs to work together, basically, to make sure that the SDG goals are carried out. Fostering integration, in fact, assumes strong cooperation among institutions at all levels and engagement of non-state stakeholders in the decision making. This can be accomplished only by addressing systemic issues that undermine institutional work, breaking down silo approaches, enhancing opportunities for institutions and stakeholders to interact and find synergies, managing policy trade-offs, and exploring interconnection between among sustainable development goals are key to addressing systemic flaws. Okay, so you need to work together. Silo means to work alone. Okay, so all the institutions need to work together. The transformational nature of the 2030 agenda urges government not to act solo, but rather engage at multiple levels of governance and across manifold sectors. Okay, so broadening the ideas, recipients, and responsibilities for development. Broaden the idea of development towards the notion that challenges and goals are integrated and indivisible from one another. Okay, so all the challenges and goals are integrated and indivisible. We have to meet when we take care of our atmosphere, our environment. We have to make sure that the economy and social aspects are taken care of. Okay, so they are integrated. The development of all three are integrated. They go together instead of being divided. Toward the whole of government approach to form multi-stakeholder partnerships that include non-state actors, such as civic society and academics. So the people also must be included in government initiatives to achieve all these SDG goals. People and academics, they must be included. Nobody must be left out. Towards a toolbox of approaches and mechanism to address sustainable development challenges. So another thing is that we need, in order for development to take place, we need to make a toolbox of approaches. We have to come up with, plans and projects and so on. So this is what you are doing when I asked you to come up with projects for this course. You're helping also in a way, even though it is mandatory upon you because you are a student. But when you come up with a project, you help solve a problem. Okay, and then if you come up with a good project, the project can be adapted by the university. Okay, the university is involved in the SDG project. There is a special section in the SDG project that addresses how university can help achieve SDG. Okay, specifically for a country. Okay. So IUM has undertaken this role to provide, to help the nation achieve SDG, and this is also happening in many universities across Malaysia. Okay, so now I have to switch off my computer because the battery is full. Okay, so these are the pictures here of the different things that are involved. Cooperation and partnership. Yeah, we have, that we have to work. The government has to work with the people and so on, but the government also has to work with global bodies like UN and all these entities. Capacity building, you have to make sure that we are capable enough to carry out the project. We haven't talked about this yet. Governance, okay, how national, this is at the level of national agendas and so on. Finance, how to get money for the projects. Data and monitoring, how to monitor the projects, whether we have achieved the SDG goals or not through the project. And policy coherence, where we create policies that will help the countries achieve the SDG goals. So the financing for your project, you will have, because it is something that you can imagine doing for the future, right? Now I'm talking about your project for this class. So you may need money. You need money for the project, so you can come up with, if possible, to come up with a budget, okay, for the financial implication of your project. And then possibly, if UIA, if the rector looks at your project and finds it very interesting and so on, so he might give you money. The university will give you money to carry out the project. Okay, so we will talk later more about this, more about the project later. Okay, so roles according to the to a descending hierarchy. So you have international level cooperation between countries. Oh, sorry. Um, Treaties for SD, where we cooperate. We have various treaties, the Rio Convention, the Kyoto Protocol, and so on. International institutions must generate and enforce multilateral agreement toward SD, creating frameworks, direct regulation and founding for SD, setting up vision Europe 2020 strategy, UN SD 21, UN Millennium Development Goals. This is a setting up of visions, that the UN wants to achieve, and also this is what the UN has done. Yeah? It has um, come up with treaties and so on that we have undergone. In our previous class, I think in the first class we were talking about this, where we see all the various conventions that had started since 1972. Okay, so then we have national level regulation. Yeah, direct regulation focus on SD law on carbon emissions, on spatial planning, on green area, on basic services. Okay, so what is carbon emissions? Okay, it's similar to greenhouse emission. Okay, where the countries are asked to lower their carbon emission because of problems with the climate change. Yeah, we have talked about this earlier I think in our first few lessons. We talked about climate change. So this is the countries are asked to come up with laws to reduce the carbon emission or gas emission, so that we have less carbon, less gas, greenhouse gas emission for all the countries, and therefore we help to retain or maintain um, the what do you call that the weather, so it doesn't become too hot. So laws concerning specific ecological aspects, water, forest, and pollution waste management. This is the job of the countries to come up with laws to protect the environment. So prepare national level plans, implement national level sustainable policies. Okay, so many countries have come up with their own national level policies, and Malaysia is coming up with also its own policies and so on. Yeah. So preparing of regional level plans, including SD objectives, where now this is the regional level where they move to the state level. Okay, in Malaysia we have 13 states, so each state will have an SD or sustainable development objectives. Okay, so implement a regional development strategy, clearly set the region's economic and political role, implement laws regarding SD. And then finally, the local level, which is covering towns, for example, a specific town or city in the state. Yeah. And then local level cooperation is needed. Sustainable spatial planning, addressing SD based on local specificity and problems, implements different policies, local development strategy, attract funding. Okay, attract funding, yes. So maybe if you can found and can develop something, yeah, I think that's what is meant by attract founding. So you can see that it goes from EU, yeah, EU, European Union, yeah, until Poland. Poland is the country. EU is the very wide uh, body linked with UN. Okay, UN is controlled by European countries. Okay, so you have EU being recognized here. So Poland, Masovia, and Warsaw. Okay, Warsaw is the city. So it moved from international level to national level, regional level, and local level. Okay. So now we are going to have a look at a YouTube video. Okay, on this. Okay, sorry. I think
it's important to have a goal in partnerships because
sorry
realizing
about this.
the agenda we want, the Agenda 2030,
Okay, there you go.
involves all sectors of society. It's a job for everyone, not just for governments. And this is the idea behind
Start at the
partnerships.
beginning.
It's important to have a goal on partnerships because realizing the agenda we want, the Agenda 2030, involves all sectors of society. It's a job for everyone, not just for governments. And this is the idea behind partnerships. One partnership that our department is very much involved in is the Higher Education Sustainability Initiative. It's what can universities do to bring about a better world in the year 2030. This is what this partnership is about. They can do that through greening their own campuses, teaching sustainability, environmental management. They can also reach out to their communities, and over 300 campuses have signed up around the world. So it can't be measured in money terms, but it will affect a whole new generation of decision makers as it goes forward. Certainly, there are indicators for this goal. For example, the percentage of national income devoted to foreign aid. There is an objective among countries that 0.7% of national income should be devoted to foreign aid. We are very far from that. The average is about between 0.2 and 0.3%, so we're far away from that goal. If we get closer to that goal, that'll be one indicator. Certainly, the number of partnerships, we're keeping track of them. But more importantly, it's the actual achievement of the other 16 goals that will be the true determinant of success for goal 17 also.
Okay, I think that's not there. Need to get out of this. Okay, so now, okay, so then we have another YouTube video also that we can see. Sorry about this. Oh no. Okay.
Around the world, a complex orchestra of partnerships, know-how, and policy making is well underway to realize the promise of the 2030 Agenda, its 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and the commitment to leave no one behind. The 2030 Agenda is a composition of intertwined social, economic, and environmental goals and targets that requires a new way of thinking about development. That is why the United Nations Development Agencies have come together to create MAPS, a common agile approach to development that stands for mainstreaming, acceleration, and policy support to help countries move the SDGs from paper to practice. This is how it works. Country X is trying to turn the extraordinary goals into realities on the ground. This is where mainstreaming comes in. It's about making the 17 goals a part of people's lives by including them in national and local policies, action plans, and budgets. About raising public awareness and engaging with civil society, businesses, and the media, establishing practices for monitoring and reporting, securing financing for the agenda, and accessing risk. Country X knows that an integrated agenda means that it cannot work with one goal at a time. It needs to find key entry points to make progress across several SDGs. What would work in this specific context? Using analytical tools, we can identify accelerators, such as action to support women and girls empowerment that will also boost local economies, enable safer childbirth, and build more inclusive communities. The UN can also provide policy support that reaches across all aspects of development, education, jobs, local governance, healthcare, biodiversity, and clean energy to support SDG implementation. The UN will help countries achieve the SDGs for everyone, everywhere. Visit undg.org/2030-agenda to learn more about maps.
Okay, so that's the end. Okay, so as you can see from our previous slide, yeah, our previous YouTube video, if you address one goal, okay, you are helping addressing other goals as well. Okay, so through your project, you can help this. Yeah? If it's a good project, the university will adopt it, yeah, and then you can help the country even though it's at the level of the university, it will become helpful to the country. Yeah. In the sense that we are in a specific country, so something is being done somewhere, and maybe at the national level it can be adopted by the government even. Okay, so you have this. This is a question that I want you to put as the question for today's class. Okay, so this is your class. The question for this class. Okay, so how can Malaysia plays its role in supporting and achieving SDG? Now you can also put the country of the name of your country there. You can say, how can Indonesia play its role in supporting and achieving SDG? Okay, so this is no essay. This is not grammatically correct. There's no essay. How can Malaysia play its role, okay, in supporting and achieving SDG? How can your country also play its role in supporting and achieving SDG? Okay, so this is our question for today. I will take note. I will put this, okay, on our class WhatsApp group. This question. So then we have again a picture here showing how the processes of nationalizing international regimes. Okay, so this is what has been happening since 1972. Yeah, when the UN suddenly realized that we must do something about the environment because of the pollution. Okay, in 1974, the Malaysian government came up with Environmental Quality Act 1974. Okay, so you have some kind of event happening at the national level that corresponds to a larger event in the global level. Okay, so you have again national energy policy. This is what happening in Malaysia in 1979. They came up with national energy policy, national forestry policy. Okay, so and then there was another report in Brundtland report in 1987, and then Rio Summit. I think this is what this specifically addressed environment. Okay, and then Kyoto Protocol in 1997 specifically addressed the green gas house, the gas greenhouse emission. Okay, so this is about the carbon dioxide. Okay, because of the effects of climate change. So in national biodiversity policy, we try to address this climate change as well. So UN Millennium Summit in 2000, they tried to come up with several goals. Remember, from our first class, they come up with several goals. I think about 6 to 8 goals. Okay? And then later, Johannesburg Earth Summit also tried to make sure that we have done certain things to help us achieve the goals. and Malaysia came up with national policy on environment. Okay, and then IPCC fourth report in 2006, and Malaysia came up with national green technology policy. Okay. So national climate change policy happened in 2010, and then UNSCD Rio plus 20 other treaties, we come up with national water resources policy. Okay, so now you know we are moving forward with all this policy and goals. Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, the nation's role in Agenda 2030. As I said to you before, 2030 is the deadline that UN has given us to achieve the SDG goals. So in the UN agenda, on paragraph 55, it takes into account different national realities, capacities, and levels of development and respective national policies and priorities. It targets one defined as aspirational and global. So the nation's role in achieving Agenda 2030 is taking into account national realities. So we have to look at our nation. Every nation in this world has to look at their nation and has to really understand how much we can make changes, okay, and development. Okay. So then we should, after we have taken the realities of what is happening on the ground, we should set national SDG targets taking into account national circumstances, decide how aspirational and global targets should be incorporated into national planning process and policies and strategies, recognize link between sustainable development and other relevant ongoing processes in economic, social, and environmental fields. Okay, so this is basically what the government should be doing. And there are main characteristics of the 2030 agenda. Broad participation of all the countries is needed. There are 193 countries in this world. Okay, but that's the number. And then there are actually 2 other bodies in UN that is not included in that does not have UN membership. They are the Holy See, which is the Vatican State, as well as the Palestine. Yeah, Palestine is it's only given an observant status in the UN, so it's not recognized as a country in the UN. Okay, so the second part, diverse issues. We need to make sure that the main characteristic of the agenda will take care of should take care of the diverse issues also. New challenges, putting sustainable development at the center. Okay. Knowledge gap within the countries. Some countries are more knowledgeable in sustainable development and others. So we are supposed to work together to achieve the sustainable development goal. Applicable to all entire world, developed and developing countries should all try to meet the agenda. And then means of implementation, where we revitalize global partnership, okay, because that's the only way. When we work together to achieve the goals, then we can succeed. So apply the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, CBDR, where countries that are developed should take more responsibility in certain areas, like providing technological experts and help to countries that are developed and then developing, and then the countries that are developing also, they need to take care of the environment and so on. So sustainable development strategies overview from Rio to Putrajaya. Now this is just looking at the Malaysian timeline, okay, roadmap. So from the Rio Earth Summit, you have UN Conference on Environment and Development, the 7 development plans. Okay, sorry about this. Millennium Development Goals. This is what we had studied before, right? Because the Millennium Development Goals actually failed. The countries, when they did a kind of like a check on UN, a checkup on whether the countries have met the Millennium Development Goals, many countries failed to do this. So they came up with Sustainable Development Indicators, okay, which is now adopted as SDG. And then draft Sustainable Development Blueprint, national readiness to implement the SDG. So this is what is taking place right now in 2014, what had taken place. SDGs indicators, data readiness exercise, Department of Statistics also, because we need statistics, we need to know what is currently happening in reality, before we come up with the plan, before we implement the plans. Malaysian Voluntary National Report to HLPF, SDG Roadmap, and then 11 MP midterm review. Okay. 2020, the 12th MP is expected, and then this is Malaysia program. And then to 2021, Malaysia Voluntary National Report to HLPL. So then we have implementing the SDG from the institutional framework, where we establish a multi-stakeholder participatory governance structure to plan and monitor the SDG implementation of the country, until the policy framework, where we create policies for the country SDG plans, to meet the country's SDG plans, and also the policy of our country, our economic plan, must match. In Malaysia, we have an economic plan every 5 years. Okay, so SDG must be included in the planning of the Malaysian plan. So they will monitor and evaluate, establish the SDG progress monitoring system and SDG portal to enable systematic, coordinated, and data support evidence for monitoring and evaluation. And then financial mechanism, we need to establish funding mechanism for SDG. Where do the money come from, among others, and not limited to government of budget, small grant facility, and private sector internal funding. So we are looking also at overseas funding for our SDG programs. So enhanced CEPA, SCEPL, and training will continue to be developed and implemented. Okay, for present National Voluntary National Review at High Level Political Forum in 2017. Okay, where we present our SDG findings. So Malaysian institutional framework for SDG. Okay, so this is National SDG Council chaired by Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister's job, okay, is to establish direction for SDG implementation, set national agenda and milestone, and prepare reporting to UN high-level political forum. So then he has a steering committee, a committee that will work under him, and chaired by the Secretary General of MEA, Malaysia Economic. So formulate SDG roadmap, monitor progress of targets, identify issues, and report to National SDG Council. So it is working. The country is trying to implement SDG by kind of like dividing it into 5 sectors. For example, inclusivity is the first, and then we have all the SDG here. Okay, no poverty, zero hunger, gender equality, reduce inequality. So well-being for good health, well-being, sustainable cities, peace, and so on. So human capital, quality education, and then we have environment and natural resources, clean water, sanitation, affordable energy, responsible consumption, climate action, life below water, life on land, and then finally we have economic growth, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation, and infrastructure partnership for the goals. Okay, so all of this will be. Each working committee will be represented by members from UN agencies, private sector, NGO, CSO, and academia. So all of these people will also be in the committee. Okay, so that is our lesson for today. Okay, so anyone want to say anything? Do you understand what's going on in our class just now? What was the question?
Yes.
Basically, a very what do you call that? Political based presentation, because we get to see how the government tries to implement SDG. So it's done in a very systematic way, yeah. And then I would like to ask you, okay, how can Malaysia play its role in supporting and achieving SDG? Okay, how can Malaysia do that? Anyone here can volunteer? Can I see some faces actually? Can I see some faces from this? Good. Okay, so anyone wants to say anything about this? How can Malaysia achieve SDG? Do you know? Anyone can try to answer that? You've given brilliant answers in the past, so I'm looking for more answers here. Do you have any answer? How can Malaysia achieve zero hunger? Um, where do we need to actually tackle? What aspect do we need to actually tackle in Malaysia? What can we say that needs the most improvement in Malaysia? Our brother here, can you say Afnan Hudai? Can you help me? Can you tell me what aspect? Maybe I can start also to call out names.
Okay, okay, madam. In my own view, I think that Malaysia can play their role in achieve SDG goal by empower the minister or empower the role of the minister in Malaysia, because we see that Malaysia minister had go by policy and implement the SDG. So when we empower the minister with their correct role, so we can see that the government take a correct way in leading Malaysia to the SDG goal that we can achieve it in 2030.
So you said just now empower the minister.
Yes.
Okay. So okay. So maybe that I think there is some truth in that where we give more power to ministers, right, to implement the SDG goals. Um, right now, who is the minister of environment in Malaysia? Do you know? Who is the minister?
I think Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man, if
Yeah.
I'm mistaken.
Yes. So he's in charge of the environment. Yeah. So it is true that you need to empower the minister, but also because he is at the minister level, right? He can help draft policies for the countries. Um, but you need also to work um, at the level of states and then level of cities. And then at the level of, interestingly, there is a special place for universities. So universities can also do their bit in help achieving the country SDG goals. Yeah. So is it true what you said, Afnan? Okay, so I am having some disruption. Okay, I will try to address this disruption and then I will come back. Okay, so please, I'm sorry about sorry about the interruption. Okay, so can I hear from Adam bin Hasrul? Are you here, Adam? Adam bin Hasrul? Hmm? Can you hear from? Okay, I know that Azam is not here. Okay, Afifah Hayati. Afifah Hayati. Afifah.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me, in what way can we, what was the question again? How can Malaysia play its role? Okay, how can we play our role in meeting the SDG goals? Can you do some, Afifah? Can you try to answer that?
I think I'm not sure about that.
Hmm? What aspect do you think Malaysia is really concerned with right now? Is it economy, social, or environment? Afifah?
Our economy.
Okay, economy, yes. Economy, okay. Can you tell me why economy? Afifah?
Maybe because our economy rate is not that good.
You see a lot of people who are what?
Who are poor.
Okay, who are poor. Okay, so that is a major concern, right? Our economy. Yeah? Are we concerned about other things as well? How about Amni Africa? Amni Africa?
Yes, madam.
Are we concerned about other things? You can show me your face. Also,
Wait,
I think we all want to look at you as well. Your friends want to look at you as well.
I think my camera.
Yeah? I forgot the question I gave you. Yeah?
I think my camera is not working.
Oh, okay. It's okay. Can you try to answer the question?
Yeah, sure. Can I say about corruption?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot corruption between the like higher people, like they love to do corruption, and nowadays there's a lot of people that were poor and have also have people that totally rich, crazily rich, and like they um doesn't care about the poor. So
Mm.
that's why the economy in Malaysia, yeah, poor.
Okay, so you have a very interesting answer from you, I mean, Africa, because you said there's corruption. I think that it's okay, to say all these things. I know some people are very, very frightened, fearful of saying such things. But it is true, isn't it? I mean, if you see it on newspapers, sometimes there is some problem with corruption also. And people who are scammers, nah?
Yes, Malaysia also really higher with the corruption in the world, in
Mhm.
the stage, higher corruption.
Yeah, so because of that, we have economic problems, right?
Yes,
The more people, one person, Dr. Yasir Auda, he said that, or maybe somebody else, I forgot, but he said that these things happen, poverty happens, real poverty, yeah, happens when you have people who are very, very rich at one end, okay, extremely
yes,
rich at one end, and hence there will be poverty.
very
If the
poor,
country
yeah.
has a lot of people who are extremely rich, there is something wrong, okay, because the distribution of wealth should be distributed to everyone. Everyone should be almost, even though some people may be richer than others, but their gap is not very big, right? But when you know that the country has quite economic problems when there are people who are extremely rich and those who are very poor. Okay, there's
Yes.
something wrong with that. Okay.
Madam, can I
Mhm.
say that, like nowadays it's really hard to get a job. Like they need some some experience, but that's why some university student that like they hardly to like get a job lah.
Okay, they are
Hard
university
to get a job.
graduates find it
Yes,
difficult to get a job because
yes.
of what? Because of what is the specific problem?
Because they sometimes some like office they need some experience from them, but they doesn't have any experience.
So this is okay. This is one of the requirements sometimes that is driving people to poverty as well, right? When you cannot get jobs, okay, you're jobless, okay, that can make you poor. So I think you mentioned one thing that employees look for experience, right? Yeah, it's true that experience is also needed. Yeah? Therefore, a fresh graduate like you would find it very difficult because you don't have any job experience, right? You need job experience. So, but yesterday. I read a very interesting article on MSN Malaysia, and it actually said that I will post later this article on our WhatsApp group. It said that nowadays employers are not looking for degrees and job experience as much as they are looking for analytical skills. They are looking for people who can solve problems. Okay, because I don't know whether you have read this article or not, but it places a lot of emphasis on analytical skills. It says that companies are placing a lot of emphasis on analytical skills because they have problems, they want solutions, and they want people who work under them who can provide the solutions. Okay, so I'm looking at this course. I'm looking at the project that you're expected to do, and which is part of the course, which is takes about 50, if I'm not mistaken, even more than 50% of your grades. No? I will look again at how much, but I think it was around 50. And I'm looking at that and I'm saying that, that is the solution to this problem of graduates being jobless. Because when I gave you the list of problems that you are expected to solve, okay, how do you get people to not drive to the campus and so on? Yeah, one of the problem. How do we make sure that people treat each other kindly and so on? And I had listed the problems. I am giving you a job that will require analytical and skills, right? How do you solve something like that? So you have to be, when you solve the problem, okay, when you have solutions, when you have projects that can solve the problem. We don't expect miracles from you, that you can solve the problem, but at least you can come up with projects that can help solve the problem. We are providing you with something very, very important, right? Analytical skills. And if the skills get listed into your CV, if everything is carried out, actually, you have something that employers are looking for, even though you have no or very limited um, work experience because you are fresh graduates, right? You have know how to solve problems. That is what you want to show to employers. Isn't that true? Yeah, I
Yes,
think it's a very great and good opportunity for you to get jobs. It's open up, and it's happening in your first year. Okay, so imagine like 4 more years of UIA, and how many? Maybe you can get more projects on the way. Okay, and if it's possible, work together, with other people from across the university, from across kuliahs, so that we can get more jobs done, more solutions provided, and more jobs done, more skills acquired also. Okay, so don't think that you want to work for people inside your kuliah only, because they can have very limited job, okay, or programs or problems that they want to solve. But if you look across the university, you make friends with people across the university, then it is a very good thing, right? To have many opportunities to solve problems. Make yourself into a problem solver. Okay, I think people will want you to hire you anytime, any day. Yeah. I think I certainly would, right? If I had companies always have problems, because That's how we develop. When we have problems, we develop. If you don't have any problems, then we won't develop. You will stay the same level all the time. Okay. So anyone else want to say anything? How about Ashila Putri? Can I hear from Ashila Putri? I assume that you're from Indonesia, right, Ashila? Ashila Putri Rahmadani? Ashila? Can you hear from you, Ashila? If you're not here, I will mark you as being not here, okay? You're here, I can see your name there. What is the Sejahtera program? Sorry, how does your country try to achieve sustainability SDG goals? How do you try to meet them? Ashila, not okay. Banati, Fazat lady, can we hear from you, Banati? Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, can you tell me a bit about your country? What is it doing? Indonesia has a very good track record, right? Of SDG. I can see a lot of programs on.
I would not really know about it too.
If you cannot speak clearly, maybe you can use the chat room. The chat. Can you chat? You can chat. Oh, Humaira here wants to give a go, but I'm sorry, I didn't see that before. So, can you chat? Can you write something? What's that? Okay, so we're waiting for you to write something for that lady. Okay, actually, not really know about my country program, but okay. So maybe you can do is try to get to know more about your country's SDG goals, SDG, right? SD, not SGD, SDG. Okay, so try to get to know, yeah. Maybe that can be part of your blog entry. That will be very interesting if you can know about what Indonesia is doing. Okay, so let's have a look at Dahlan Afra Arshad, I'm sorry. Dahlan Afra.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Yeah, you're not a male, right? You're a female, right?
Yes, I am a female.
Where are you from?
Indonesia.
Okay. So maybe you can tell me where in Indonesia?
Bogor.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me a bit about any project, for example? Is there any project that you hear of that is addressing SDG?
Maybe like
what is happening with in the environment? Is there anything that is protected? You know, I think there are many projects Indonesian government has done or NGOs have done, national non-governmental agencies.
Yeah, the government
Mm-hmm.
try to protect our sea, our ocean, but I don't know what government do.
Okay. I think there is some, okay, from my knowledge, okay, there are NGOs that try to protect the orangutan, for example, in Indonesia, right? We have rehabilitation centers for orangutan, right?
I'm not sure, but maybe yes.
Okay. So maybe you can have a look after this, you know, and put the information on your blog.
Okay, madam.
Okay, what do you think? Anything you want to add? What do you think the government should tackle first? What do you think should happen in your country in terms of SDG? How to improve it? How to improve your country in terms of meeting the SDG goals? Can you suggest some improvement?
In education, because maybe maybe city in Indonesia don't get strong education, and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the education is very important, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Without education, what can happen to you? Without, if you don't have any education, what will
without,
happen?
without education we cannot sustainable development and um, many other aspects we
Ah,
cannot do.
okay. So thank you, Afra, for your answer. You know, education is very important. Without education, many things cannot be done. Of course, this is also very Islamic. Yeah, Islam also emphasizes the importance of education in our daily life, right? So we both men and women must be educated, right? Yeah, because education can give us a better future, a better present also. Okay, when we are knowledgeable about things, we can get jobs, for example. And if we don't get jobs, we can actually create jobs for ourselves. Okay, because we are educated, we're knowledgeable, okay, on things. So it's really important. So thank you, Afra. Now Fatin Amal, Sakina, and Fatin Amal, are you here?
Yes, madam.
Can you tell me? You're from Malaysia? Are you from Malaysia or another country?
I'm from Brunei.
Again? Where?
I'm from Brunei, Brunei Darussalam.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, Fortin, can you tell me if you know of any project that your country is doing to address SDG?
From what I know, um, uh, in my country, there is one. uh, how do I say this? Like, can I say that reduce pollution is one of way to improve SDG?
Yeah. Yeah.
Reducing pollution by like every weekend, we have like Bandar Kucheria, which everybody going to not going to use any transportation. They're going to
Mm.
have like walking and just use bicycle to go somewhere like that.
So that,
So that's the only thing that I know.
yeah, that is right. Yeah. When we have one day of not driving, we use our bicycles or other public transportation. That is supporting the environment. We want to lower the carbon emission of our environment. So lowering the carbon emission is the goal in SDG. Yeah, it has something to do with the quality of, I mean, the climate change. If we can lower the carbon dioxide in our environment, we can lower the what do you call that? The heat, the heat in our environment. That's right. You can put that in your blog, Fatin. You have 1 point already. I think in Malaysia also we have something similar, but sometimes I think I'm not really sure whether it's effective or not because at other days we can tend to drive a lot. Um, but on one day, one morning, we don't drive. So it's on Sunday. Okay. So why not put it, why not do something really important also, like really have a sustainable program where we do it more than one day, okay? Or we really have a good transportation, public transportation to help us use less car. Okay. And can we hear also from Humaira? Humaira, I think Humaira already volunteered, but I really didn't look at the chat box. Can Humaira?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You have.
Hello. Yeah, I have something that's been like in my mind about SDG. So, following one of the, I think it was Sister Afra's point about education, I think Malaysia should work more on introducing SDG to um, the the younger generations of the country because talking from my experience, I think like I've never heard of SDG not until I entered diploma, like when I was taking my diploma. So I SDG in the first place is for the people who are living in the country. So I think it's a basic needs for um, the people living in the country to first be introduced by SDG, because if they are introduced to SDGs since young age, I think it would be easier for them to work on it and give ideas, because we don't know what kind of problems like every people are facing everywhere, right? For example, like we are in universities and we are like we only know what happens around the university. We don't know what might be happening outside of our university, so we don't know how to solve those kind of problems. But if we introduce SDGs to people all around the countries from young age, then I think we can address more issues that we don't know of, and it will contribute tremendously to our improvement in realizing the SDG goals. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yes, this is a very good answer from Humaira. He said that SDG must be taught to school children, not just universities, right? Yeah, and this is what is happening. If you look at the internet, there are many programs for school children on how to teach SDG to school children. But in Malaysia, we don't really teach this to school children. They are universities have come up with their own programs for SDG, but the schools do not have any program for SDG. So this is the problem, yeah? That Malaysia has to tackle, okay? Because they have to make sure that our school children also can contribute to SDG, yeah? Because they will become future Malaysians workers and citizens. Huh? So it is really important. Thank you, Fumara, for bringing up a very, very important point, yeah, which is to develop SDG programs in schools, not just university. Okay. Let's have a look at Mazlan. Who's Mazlan? Can we hear from Mazlan, please? I'm really wondering who Mazlan is, because it's only one name here and no other name. Okay. Okay, no, not okay. I will call this person up later. Okay. Okay, Muhammad Tariq, are you okay? Who is this? The one Afra, right? Afra, you have put your hands up.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Anything you want to say, Afra?
No. I don't know.
No, you don't have anything to say, but your hands is up.
No,
I think it's Afifa.
Oh, Afifa. Oh, I see, Afifa. Afifa?
No.
Yeah, what you want to say something?
No, I don't. I don't have something to say.
Yeah, but somebody's hand is here. Oh, okay. So maybe we can do something to not raise the hand. Okay. So Muhammad Tariq, please. Muhammad Tariq, are you here? Are you meeting the doctor now? Okay, Muhammad Tariq says he was involved in an accident. So he wasn't able to come to go to class. Oh, okay. Sister Afra, you have accidentally clicked on the raise hand button, so it's okay. So we can talk to somebody else, Muhammad Zamir, Ibrahim Zamir. Muhammad Zamir, are you here, Muhammad Zamir?
Yes.
Can we hear from you, Muhammad Zamir? Can we look at your handsome face? No face there, just a tin can, right? I'm sure you're not a tin can. Okay. Muhammad Zamir, can you tell me, can you try to answer the question that I've given on the WhatsApp? How can Malaysia play its role in supporting SDG goals? Muhammad Zamir, yeah.
Yes, 1 moment.
Are you coming up with the answer, Muhammad Zamir?
Yes, I am thinking.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking. Okay. Meanwhile, let's go to Mama Asif. Asif Fitri? Mama Asif Fitri?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Can you tell me a bit about how Malaysia can contribute to achieving SDG goals?
Uh, can I give opinion in already? Can I give opinion? Malaysian already achieved the SDG goal.
Have we achieved the SDG goals?
Just call it a little bit percentage of the SDG.
Uh-huh.
Can I give opinion? It's about the quality education.
Okay, quality education. But as our sister Humaira has pointed out, it's not taught at schools, right?
For my opinion in quality education, as we all know, it is what back to 10 or 15 years ago, to enter the university is very hard, which is the amount of the university is limited.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, the amount of the university is a lot, which is the Malaysian already upgrade their quality of education. That's why I think that Malaysian, from my opinion, is already achieved, let's call it, the highest level from the previous in the quality education.
Okay. So there's no need to improve?
Is for now is what call it better sustain what we already have it. Just it's quite wasted when you build what call it another university, build run another university, which is not it is need a lot of work.
Okay.
Which is, from my opinion, is we better call it keep what we already have it and improve it. We call it slow, step by step, which is don't need to rush for the quality education.
Okay. So maybe not so improve too much, but maybe step by step, making sure that the teachers are prepared also. So you are saying that we do need to improve, right? Yeah.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, but maybe feel that we are on the way, yeah, to achieving the SDG. I think one way also what Sister Sumaira has said just now, because we can start teaching SDG at lower level, also that will improve drastically our quality as well, right? When you teach them not to pollute the environment, this is the problem with Malaysia right now. We have environmental pollution, right? We have many other things as well, huh? But yeah, we are the government has done a lot in the past. We have free food programs for poor students, right? We feed them. Um, yeah, but there are loopholes when you have corruption, for example. And when some officials that are corrupt, they take money from this program. They provide very low quality food, huh, for the poor students. Then we have not really achieved the goal of providing food for poor people because they are low quality food, right?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. So maybe you can have more points like that, no? So that there is somebody really, Afifa, I think, really pointed out a very important point. Corruption, it can hinder the programs from achieving success when there are corrupt individuals involved. Okay. Um, so Nadira, Nadira, what can you say about Malaysia as achieving SDG goals? I'm assuming that you're Malaysian, right? Well, can you say something about that, Nadira? Nadira, where are you, Nadira?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Oh, you're Shamimi Nadira, right?
Yes.
Okay, but I don't see the name Shamimi there. But anyway, can you tell me how Malaysia can achieve this SDG goal?
I just think I agree with Sister Humaira's point. like we should Malaysia should educate their society first because SDG is important to the society also. So we should raise awareness to the youngster first, so that they can apply this at the future for the country also.
Mm. Yeah, okay. So we need to engage the public as well, right? Yeah,
Yes.
for our society. Make sure that they know what SDG are. Okay. So when I see, sometimes I look at the papers, newspapers that in Malaysia, that are published in Malaysia. I look at the Star, for example. It has many articles on SDG, on people who do projects to save their environment, to save they reuse, recycle, and so on. But when I look at the Malay newspapers that are available in Malaysia, they always talk about politics, but little on SDG. Sometimes they do talk about SDG, like saving the environment and so on, but most of the time it will be politics. Yeah, so I'm really disappointed a bit, with our Malaysian newspapers, because I think they should be focused more on people. But that could also say something about Malay people, because they are the people who read Malay newspapers. Maybe the Malay people, they don't come up with a lot of SDG initiatives and projects. That's why we don't get published in newspaper. The newspaper will publish what Malay people are interested in. Maybe they think that they are interested in politics. So that's why they publish it on politics. Okay. But I think politics in Malaysia, especially the in Malay politics, not what do you call that? A story that will end soon, right? The problem that we have, it will go on and on and on. Um, so let's focus on something that can bring improvement to our society than something that is very cloudy and very has a lot of problems to it. Yeah. So I think that's what we can improve also, our newspapers. The way our newspapers try to, maybe they can try to change also, even though they are reflective of society. Newspapers are reflective of society, but newspapers also can help, right? Help change our mindset. So anyone wants to say anything else? Yeah, Muhammad. We heard from Nazira just now. Okay, how about Nur Fatin Amanina? Nur Fatin Amanina? Are you there, Nur Fatin? Nur Fatin Amanina? No? Nur Fatin, not here. About Nur Sakina, Muhammad Shafi'i. Nur Sakina?
Yes, madam.
Okay, can you tell me how Malaysia can help achieve the sustainable development goals?
Madam, actually, I want to share a piece of information.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether it is related to Malaysia or our country.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay?
Yeah, you can. Sure.
Recently I found a website. It is called SDG Action Campaign.
Mm-hmm.
The website it the contents was full of many global campaigns about towards the SDG goals.
Mm-hmm.
And each campaign has its own objective, mainly towards the SDG goals.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought if uh, if any Malaysians take part in the campaign, global campaign, we could gain some experience or gain knowledge about what's happening about uh, what's happening relate to SDG.
Okay. Can you
That's
also share the website on our WhatsApp group?
yes, madam.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so Humaira has come up with a very long sentence here. I think another problem that Malaysia is facing as a whole is the capability to sustain our efforts. Most nations, including myself, usually show huge support at the beginning, but as time goes on, the support will dwindle down and the effort will just die out. Okay. I think the main cause of this problem is that we are not deeply affected by the importance of realizing this goal. Therefore, I believe that we first need to enforce these efforts among citizens. Okay. So we need to continuously, I think, so Myra, you're saying that we need to continuously um, sustain our efforts, right? By continuous reinforcement. Right? We need to sustain our efforts by continuous reinforcement, yes. So you need to remind each other continuously not to throw out rubbish and that is recyclable. Okay, not to mix that up with something that is not recyclable. In Japan, for example, they come up with a solution for this simply by making it mandatory to throw a certain rubbish on a certain day. For example, on Monday, only plastic. Okay, only plastic rubbish it gets thrown out. On Tuesday, only aluminium rubbish gets thrown out. On Wednesday, it'll be a different type of rubbish. Okay. On Thursday, different type. On Friday, it's different type. So people have no way of no choice but to follow the ruling. Okay. Because if they throw out rubbish that is of different kind, then they won't get collected. The rubbish won't get collected. So this is what the government can do. We need strong enforcement to come up with a solution for our problems. If you look at one of the problems in Malaysia, because we want to achieve less carbon dioxide, everywhere in this world, people are talking about carbon emission. And then too much carbon emission will cause our temperature to go up. So we want to lower our carbon emission. But when you look at one way is to provide public transportation. But when you look at the roads, you see more roads being built, right? So how can we reduce our people's usage of cars when we do not provide good public transportation, but we increase roads, increase road that will cause people to want to use their cars because the roads are very long and they make traveling easier by car. Okay, so I think we need to improve on public transportation before we create more roads. So this is the thing. I think this is a very huge thing that the government has to do. The government actually has to play a stronger role in order for the country to meet the SDG goals. Okay? We can do only so much, but the government really has to come up with good planning to make sure that we achieve the SDG goals. Okay. So anything I need to switch on my computer. Anything else you want to say? Anything else anyone wants to say? Because it's already time is already near. Okay, no, Aliza, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to ask some question. What is the different SDG with MDG? Millennium Development. The one, the goal.
Yeah, the Millennium Development Goals. I think there were around 8 or 6 goals. But the United Nations came up with the Millennium Development Goals in year 2000. Okay, so hence the name Millennium Development Goals. But the countries cannot meet these goals. They cannot achieve the goals. They gave until 2010 to meet their goals, but the countries cannot meet because they realized, the countries said that they had other problems. When they tried to meet the goals, they had other problems. Okay, so they couldn't meet the goals, and the other problems are not addressed by the goals. So hence, when the United Nations came up with SDGs, they created more goals to address the other goals that were not addressed in Millennium Development Goals. Okay, and then also there was unequal distribution of responsibility. So when in the Millennium Development Goals, the burden of meeting the goals was put on the shoulders of the developing countries. Okay, we were asked to reduce environmental pollution. We were asked to plant less. What do you call that? We were asked to not commit more deforestation, use less wood, for example. But um, but it did not address what the, U.S., for example, could do to help us reduce deforestation. Okay, so it was on the burden felt on the developing countries to achieve the Millennium Development Goals, but not on other countries. So this is unfair because when we have economic problems, for example, they can be caused by other countries, not just our country. It is our fate is interrelated with other countries' fate. So that's the thing. If the U.S. government asks us to use less plantation land, for example, not to deforestate too much, they have to make sure that our people have economic means to support their lives. If they don't plant more palm oil, for example, the U.S. government has to ensure that our planters, our farmers can sustain themselves, even though they do not deforestate. So this it requires the help. Basically, what it means is it requires the help of developing or develop. We are developing. It requires the help of developed countries to help developing countries. Okay, to meet all the goals of SDG. Okay, so you can see if you look at the YouTube video, I'm sure you'll find a video on why Millennium Development Goals fail. Have I answered your question?
I got it. Thank you, madam.
Okay. So anything you want to say? Anyone want to say? Anything else? Anyone want to say? Okay, so I will later give you a rubric. A rubric is what you're expected to do to come up with a proposal. Okay, it's a written proposal on the project that you have signed up for. Okay, and you can give me comments on that rubric. Okay, so that if you have encountered some problem, also you can tell me what those problems are. Okay, so you are expected, as you know, as I've posted on WhatsApp group, you are expected to come up with a presentation, a creative presentation also of your project. Imagine that you have the money to do this. Imagine that you have the people to do this. Okay, so it's more like an imagination, actually, imaginary journey to achieve a certain SDG goal. Okay, so thank you so much for this class, and I will hope to see you soon. Remember to submit your blog links to the Google Classroom site. We have a site where you can submit the assignments. Okay, some people have done this, most people haven't. Okay, so I'll see you. Um, Yeah, so Humara has also posted another interesting comment here before we go. We believe that there's through reinforcement we can culture and nurture the good habits. Yes, so that is a very important thing. It's reinforcement actually, but it can also mean we can have it in our skills, in our mind also to elect the right people to come up with this reinforcement thing. We need to elect good people who can actually reinforce certain things in our government, in our country. Okay, so thank you so much. And I'll say goodbye to you now. I look forward to hearing from you in our WhatsApp and also in class next week. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
madam.
madam.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
madam.
madam.
Thank you, madam.